In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how to use the True Odds Calculator on Bonusbank. So the easiest way to calculate the true odds of a certain market would be to use the Betfair lay odds. Historically, Betfair lay odds are very accurate, so it's just the most simple and easy method to use. Obviously, there's going to be times when Betfair doesn't have a specific market, or the market's just not efficient and it hasn't had much matched on it, so you're not really getting a true figure of the odds. Then using the True Odds Calculator can definitely be a good option. So there are various different methods that the True Odds Calculator uses to calculate the true odds. But the first thing we're going to take a look at is going to be the bookie margin up here. So what we're going to do is change this to 3 outcomes, and you can see when you click on the calculator here as well, you can have all the way up to 50 outcomes, which you'll probably never ever need, but it's there if you do need it for the markets that have a lot more outcomes. But for this one, we're just going to stick to 3, and then we have got Bet365 loaded up here, and we're just going to take a look at this Newcastle Jets versus Melbourne Victory. So we've got 4.33 for Newcastle Jets, 3.7 for the draw, and 1.8 for Melbourne Victory. So we'll enter those odds in now. And you can see the total margin there at Bet365 is 5.68. So it's not terrible, still not the best odds in the world, but there's certainly going to be bookies with a lot worse odds out there. And speaking of that, we're going to look at Bet Deluxe now at the same market. So this time we've got 3.75 for Newcastle Jets, 3.5 for the draw, and 1.8 for Melbourne Victory. And once we've entered those odds there, you can see the margin is pretty much doubled at Bet Deluxe, so you can see just how poor the odds are there compared to Bet365. But what we're going to do now is take a look at the various different methods that the calculator uses, and the two specifically that we're going to look at is going to be the equal margin and then the margin proportion to the odds. So for the equal margin, it's pretty much the most simple calculation. So it will take the total bookie margin and it will split the odds equally between all the different outcomes. The equal margin will definitely work better as well when it's much more evenly matched, so the odds are a bit closer. So this might be like the money line market in basketball or something like that. So what we can do now is just change the outcomes to 2, and then we'll just change these odds up here. So we'll go 1.8, let's say, and then 2. And now you can see it split it evenly between the two outcomes here. So for outcome number 1, the true odds should be around 1.9. And then for outcome number 2, there should be around 2.1. And you can see for the other methods down here as well, the odds hasn't really changed too much. So the equal margin calculation in these kind of scenarios is going to give you a fairly accurate reading. But obviously the equal margin is going to be a lot less reliable when the odds are skewed. So a bookie's always going to tend to add a higher margin on the underdog and then less on the favourite. So right now, if we change this outcome up here, let's say 1.22 and 4.4. So this is where the margin proportional to the odds is going to give you a more accurate reading. So as you can see here, especially for the underdog, the equal margins got them at 4.6. So originally we had them at 4.4 and it's only gone up to 4.6. But using the margin proportion to the odds, it's gone all the way up to 4.9. And then for the favourite, it's still changed a little bit, but not too much. So if you'd like to learn this method as well, how the calculation works, you can come up here, and if you press the link up here, which says click here, it's going to bring up a knowledge base article. And then it's got all the various different methods in here. So obviously the calculator does all the hard work for you, but it's never a bad thing to know how the calculations work as well. And as you can see down here, we do have the odds ratio method as well and the logarithmic method as well. So these two methods are definitely a lot more complicated to calculate, and the results are only slightly different to the margin proportion to the odds as well. So there's not a lot of evidence to even suggest that they're that much more accurate than the margin proportion to the odds. But again, down here, you've got a link to this article, which goes into a lot more detail on these two methods as well. So if it's something you're interested in, it's definitely worth having a read through that. Yeah, that is pretty much it, to be honest. So hopefully it's given you a good idea on how the calculator works and when you need to use it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.